In just a couple hours, I'll be playing in the biggest disc golf tournament in my local town. It's called the Kansas City Wide Open. In Kansas City, Missouri, over 400 different players, 3 different days, and lots of different competition levels, MA, advanced, intermediate. It's gonna be a fun time. But that begs the question is, how do you prepare for a tournament such as that? Whether it's this big or much smaller, how do you do your best? How do you feel the most energized? How do you feel confident in yourself? I would like to share with you a pre-tournament warm-up routine that I do in advance of the tournament so you and I can feel the best, feel at our A game. Now, if you played multiple tournaments before, or this is your first tournament, doesn't matter how big or small, I hope these routines will help you. And guess what? Even if you're not able to visit the tournament and the location before you play, these tips will help you regardless, if you're out of state or in state. So stay tuned.
Fresh.
Seekr Disc Golf. Level up.
Before we get into the video, if you're a disc golf fanatic like myself, you can see some of my discs behind me. Don't tell my wife, that's only a couple. Please consider subscribing to this channel or liking this video to help grow the sport. We also have a free weekly newsletter that we send out. We have over 700 people joined already. Go to seekrdiscgolf.com. Thanks so much. All right, so let's get into the video. How do you practice for a disc golf tournament? Whether it's your first one and it's a small tournament, or like myself, you played in a couple before and this is a massive tournament. Regardless of whether or not you're able to visit the location, these tips will help you. Tip number 1 is practice putting. You can never practice putting too much. Let me say that again. You can never practice putting too much. My goal whenever I try to practice is to get my muscle memory so inclined to doing the same thing over and over again, especially when it comes to putting, because that's probably about 60 to 70% of the game in my opinion, is you want your muscle memory to be so consistent to do the same reaction. So whenever you step up to the tournament, right, and you have your first hole, you throw probably a decent shot off the tee, but then you're left with a 30 to 40 putt. Your muscle memory is so in tune that you'll get it close or make it almost every time. You don't have to rely on the nerves to keep your body ready to go. So what putting routine do you do? You just go out there and start chucking putters? No, there's a specific routine that I follow, which is called the putting accordion. I created myself, right? The putting accordion is simply this. You start right next to the basket. You have 5 putters. Each time you throw it in right next to the basket. Once you make all 4, then you move on to the next round, which is 5 feet out from the place you just were. You have to throw all 4 in, 4 out of 5 to make it to the next level. You continue going about 5 feet out every time you make 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5. You can't move on if you make 3 out of 5, right? So you continue doing this until you get to 30 feet. It's about 5 or 6 paces. Then what you do is head all the way back in. Do the same thing, but come back in. This is gonna help your muscle memory for the most consistent spots where you're gonna be putting the most. Something like 15 feet out is sometimes a little hard to do, right? It's a little bit nerve-wracking, especially in tournament play when people are watching you, or you have to make it for par or make it for bogey. To be honest, it's very nerve-wracking sometimes, even for a player like myself who's played for multiple years. The putting accordion will help you get used to all different levels, and it forces you to make that muscle memory, especially if you don't make 4 out of 5, right? So if you're at 30 feet, which is quite hard to do sometimes, especially for a beginner, to 15 feet, you're gonna be able to know at what angle and height I should release the putter. So you can never get too much putting in practice. That's why I recommend doing the putting accordion. Putting accordion, write it down, try it. I'd recommend doing it a week or 2 before the actual tournament. If you're like me, I'm a couple hours before the tournament, so I do it at least every day, especially on lunch breaks. All right, tip number 2 is practice with a putter, backhand, and forehand approach shots. So I'm very much under the direct influence and the opinion that all that matters really for the most part is your upshots, especially when you're starting to begin or even when you're an advanced player. What separates the pros from the newbies or the pros from the advanced players or the amateurs is the fact that yes, they can bomb shots right off the tee and park it. But oftentimes it's the approach shots that matter and get people like you and me into trouble because they can't just throw a dang putter 200 feet upshot and park it for either the par or the birdie if it's a par 4 or par 5. That has frustrated me so much whenever I have a simple shot, there's not too much in the way, and I throw backhand putter and I shake it or I go OB. Practicing your upshots with only a putter, both backhand and forehand, is one of the best things I've ever learned to do. Luckily for me, at my house, I have enough of space to go out and practice some of my upshots. I do a backhand turnover shot and I do 5 of those, and then I come back and I do 5 more. Then what I do is I switch to forehand, still with a putter only, and I throw forehand approaches, 5, and then I come back and do 5. Now the important thing to note here is whenever you throw your shots, upshots, so if you go to a park or you go to actual disc golf course, and please use a basket. If you don't have a basket, aim at a target in your yard or somewhere. Go stick your bag out there in the field or something and chuck it to it. Practice both forehand anhyzer, forehand hyzer, backhand straight shot, all the different shots you can. And here's the important thing. If you have a basket, make sure to keep your lies. So every time you throw it, your 5 shots, backhand, your approach shots, I want you to practice putting from the spot where your discs fell down. So if you threw a shot and it landed 10 feet away from the basket, pick up the putter, stand there and putt it in. If you threw a shot, upshot, and it landed 25 feet away, pick it up right where it is and practice putting. That will help you translate your putting accordion practice into the different levels of whenever you throw your first shots. Sometimes it's easy to know you've got 500 when you're putting, right? And practicing, you've got 5 different discs in your hand or 4 or 3, right? And you can make, you miss one, you got another one to throw. Whenever you throw your first shot, like in a tournament, you don't have that opportunity. You have to make it in the first time you throw. So whenever you practice your upshots, make sure you take the disc where it lies and try to putt it in. That will really help tie in the putting accordion and get the muscle memory to its best spot so you can practice for the tournament. Tip number 3 is play a putter only round. When you play a putter only round, it's only going to help you in the long term and in the short term. So I have the tournament coming up here in just a couple hours. I make sure to practice this routine multiple different times throughout the week, and if I can, a couple weeks before the tournament. Using putters is going to help you get that form right. If you can't throw a forehand or backhand with putter straight, anhyzer, you're not going to be really able to throw a mid-range or a fairway driver or a driver very well. You can still play and compete. It's just not necessarily the best for your long-term game. Now, if you're looking for a putter or you're new to the disc golf game and you're like, what is a putter? I'd recommend purchasing this guy right here. This is the Judge putter from Dynamic Discs. It's nice and tacky, not too much. It takes wear pretty well. Sometimes if you throw it at rocks, of course, it's gonna get a little gummy. It feels nice in the hand. It has this lip right here, which allows me to put my finger right here. Nice little placement. This is the best placement or here to put a putter. So if you'd like to buy those, I have the link in the description below. Purchase them on Amazon. I'm a guy who likes white. I use white all the time. That's just my ADHD, I guess. But these are the best putters out there. I know people have their preferences, but I would for sure recommend the Judge putters. Any putters will do, but make sure you go out and do a putter only round, practice the putter accordion, do your upshots and sidearms only with putters. It's only going to help you get better. Now, I hope these tips have been helpful, maybe eye-opening to what you can do and what you should do whenever you practice before a tournament. The pros do the same thing. They practice with putter only rounds. They practice putting like it's no joke. Ben Callaway, I think he said he spends like 2 hours almost a day sometimes practicing his putting. It's so important to the game because if you are dangerous with inside the circle, outside the circle with putters, you're going to be an absolute magnificent player, even if you can't chuck the drive as well as some of these other guys. If you enjoyed this video, please give a big old thumbs up or subscribe so we can help grow this community and channel and grow the sport as a whole. If you want free disc golf news, tips, and humor, head on over to seekrdiscgolf.com. We send out weekly disc golf newsletters. Over 700 people have joined if you're a disc golf fanatic like myself. Or if you want to know what products to buy and things we recommend to become a better disc golf player, level up, and have more fun, head on over to seekrdiscgolf.com/beginner or seekrdiscgolf.com/products. Thanks so much for watching.
Fresh.